What is up, everyone? It is Crux here with Crux of Crypto, and this is our third live stream. Each live stream I come with better and better production skills, hopefully. This time I should have better audio. Last time, every time I would switch between the scenes, you would hear a different inflection within my audio, but I think I figured it out. This weekend I played around with a couple things, and it's good for you guys, so you don't have to hear the different pitches and the fluctuations and things of such. So I'm here to bring you guys some news updates from a little bit over the weekend, but also as of today and last night. Last night we had some very interesting news that I'm going to break down a little bit later in the stream. But go ahead and smash those likes, spread the word, help people understand there is a movement here at Crux of Crypto. I'm here to bring you guys the best news in crypto, the best daily news, the best static content, and then check out the shorts. Those things been buzzing. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right on into it. So also you'll notice with the production, I got that smash that like and hit subscribe, and then I got another one. Look at it. So follow on X and join Discord. So if you're not in Discord, shame on you. Go ahead and jump over there in Discord. It is free. We have a lot going on over there. All right. The first article we have today is SUI. SUI just got listed on Robinhood. Why is this a big deal, Crux? Robinhood, for those that don't know, is probably one of the biggest, well, it is definitely the biggest, one of the biggest brokerages that we have access to here in America, but it's definitely on the grow. A lot of people are starting to flood over into Robinhood, but I'm sure a lot of people here are saying, why would you give your keys to Robinhood? So that's something that we say in crypto. When you give them access to your keys, they own your crypto. So if I buy SUI on Robinhood, technically I don't own it. At any moment, I can withdraw it into a cold wallet, and at that point, I own it. So for those newcomers here, that's very important to note. I think it's overall healthy. There's a lot of people that are going to flood into crypto that don't want to write down a 12 to 24 word seed phrase. And I think this is an okay way for them to get access to this stuff. You know, I'm not going to tell my mom to go and do all this very difficult stuff in terms of trying to provide the best security. I would rather just have the best on-ramp, easy access, and at any moment you can liquidate if needed. Now we know Robinhood does have a past. I'm not going to bring it up, but I think your crypto is fairly safe over there on Robinhood. And then SUI is definitely a big project. You guys know I'm very adamant on this one. It's my best risk to reward play this bull market. If Crux can hold one crypto for the next couple months, it is SUI. The whole ecosystem's thriving. And let's go ahead and jump right on into why I think it's thriving. As you can see, where I think of the seventh biggest chain, so Ethereum's way over here, clearly a number one in terms of TVL. And then you go down this list all the way, Hyperliquid's been on fire, and then you get to SUI, sitting at just over 2 bill market cap. Here's a couple gems for you guys. You guys know I like to find the best beta plays in these ecosystems. So SUI, if it's a very good layer one, I need to know the DEX, I need to know the hot liquidity plays, I need to know the borrowing and lending platforms, and I also need to know the meme coins because I'm a degen. So let's go ahead and jump into SUI Lend. This project right here is a number one in TVL on this platform. It's basically at all-time highs. So we could see SUI by itself isn't the only one thriving. The whole ecosystem is thriving. Navi Protocol. These are both like your top DeFi plays, SUI Lend and Navi Protocol. And then also we have another play that I'm fairly bullish on, Cetus. Now here's a quick update for you guys. You know that Cetus Protocol did get hit a couple of months back. And I just want to show you guys they have recovered. They're pushing, I think, over $1 billion. Yeah, they're pushing over $1 billion for or maybe 5 weeks in a row straight at this point, pushing over $1 billion per week in total trading volume. So Cetus is starting to come back alive. You can see this huge wick. This is when they got exploited. This is when the recovery happened. They took the loan out, and then we're starting to trickle up and right again. So I don't think you guys have much to worry about with the Cetus or with the SUI ecosystem. It's nice to be able to get exposure to these plays. Something very important to also note is whenever crypto is in its very first bull market, when it's in its first bull market, that means that there's not going to be a lot of resistance from people 4 years ago that bought it and are in a loss. So for example, you have people that may have bought Chainlink at 50 bucks. Once our current price goes to 50 bucks on Chainlink, these guys sell. And that's just part of the process. That's TA 101. The more resistance, is going to be there the longer a crypto has been out. So plays like a Cetus protocol or just really SUI in general, because it's a newer blockchain, are definitely good on the asymmetric risk over there. So let's go ahead and jump back into the screen. Here is the second biggest article that I have today. Tether appoints former White House Crypto Council Executive Director Bo Hines as strategic advisor. I didn't see this one. This was definitely not on my bingo card. I did not see this coming. I thought Bo Hines would have been a little bit more on like Team Circle, quote unquote. There's kind of like this unwritten battle that's going on in crypto between the stable coins and which one's dominance runs it all. Tether is in the lead, and I'll go ahead and break it down here shortly, but Tether is in the lead, and I don't see them losing the position anytime fast. They are getting key players in the space. They are doing very well as far as their economic strategy. Really, the economic strategy relies on the fate of the United States. So for those that don't know, USDC was created by Circle. Circle is a publicly traded company, and most of their reserves are backed by US dollars. Actually, a lot of it is. Not most, if I'm not mistaken. But Tether, they have under 1% of their reserves is backed by US dollars. So all of it's essentially investments of some sort, whether it's treasuries, and these type of things. We know that they're doing extremely well financially, and not just financially, they are by far in the lead on the stablecoin dominance race. As you can see right here, we have about $270 billion worth of stablecoins in all of crypto, and we see that USDT makes up well over half of that, sitting at about $162 billion. They just got exposure to one of the studs in the space, Bo Hines. Now, just like this guy here, I am questioning Bo Hines. What are you doing, dude? The US needs its own system, American made. This system should be made up of RLUSD, USD1, and XRP as a bridge. So this guy is probably an XRP advocate. Cool. I think there's a lot of other stable coins out there that could definitely suffice in terms of who America should be using to push liquidity across for stable coins. But definitely didn't see this one coming. If anybody understood like what was happening or saw, the writings on the wall, go ahead and post it in the comments. I'll check these comments here in a second. The reason I jumped like right into this, and I'll push Q&A here in a little bit, and then at the end of the show, is because we have a ton of news today. So I've already went over the SUI Robinhood listing, Bo Hines, the acquisition of Bo Hines by Tether as the clear front runner right now in stablecoin dominance. And then this next article, and then we'll jump into Q&A, is Wyoming. So today, the commission chairman and Governor Gordon announced the mainnet launch of Frontier Stablecoin. So this is the very first stablecoin by a United States state. This historic move marks the Wyoming, of all states, Wyoming, very interesting, as a first public entity in the United States to issue a blockchain-based stablecoin. FRNT is a ticker. And then it's designed to blah, 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 blah. Now, you guys are probably asking, what blockchains is this created on? So you have 7 different blockchains. You have Arbitrum, AVAX, Base, Ethereum, Optimism, Polygon, and Solana. So there's a lot of plays here that people kind of lost faith in. What happened to Arbitrum? What happened to Polygon? As a matter of fact, Arbitrum's been on fire lately. They are starting to slowly catch back up to the Base ecosystem. Which I don't think they're going to catch up, but they're starting to show signs of life. So there's a lot of different layer 2 scaling solutions that are still being adopted. United States isn't going anywhere. And we could see, shout out to Wyoming for being here and being square. All right, let's go ahead and check out some of you guys' questions. All right, I got a lot of you guys coming in. All right, so Thomas, you're the first guy in here. Thomas, you're the first guy in here. You're giving a shout out to Caspa. You guys know Caspa's my favorite project. I love Caspa. It's more of a fundamental play for me. I like the ideology behind it. I like everything Yonatan Sapolinsky stands for. And I'm going to continue to make Caspa content because you guys 100% certainty understand I am not shilling this project. I'm not making a single dime from any of this. I've never made any money from any individual crypto project. So SUI, they're not paying me to give them a shout out for getting onto Robinhood. All of these plays, I've done over 50 different quick dives on these projects. You can check out the videos. I drop 2 a week. and I've been paid by none of them. But Caspa, you know for certainty I mean, there is technically a foundation at this point, but it's really not for making any returns. It's more of like a charity in a sense. So they help with certain things, but they don't do it a nonprofit. Sorry, not charity. More of a nonprofit. Whenever somebody talks positively about Caspa, it is from the heart. So just remember that. I love the community. Shout out Thomas. Let's go, says Daniel Pearson. Shout out the Gem Hunters. Hey, we're in there. We're in there like swimwear. So Gem Hunters, for those that don't know, we're in the Discord. And what we're doing, I think we have like 15 different plays right now. And they're anywhere between like a mid cap to a low cap. And we're trying to find the best asymmetric plays in crypto. So we know SUI's doing well. How do I make money off of that ecosystem? Well, join the Gem Hunters and we'll definitely teach you. So smash that like button, says Thomas. What up, Crux, says P Drizzy. What up, Drizzy? Good to hear from you too, brother. That's another Gem Hunter right there. So Gem Hunters are in here strong. You know, give me them gems, says Brandon Butchery. Is it Butchery or Butchery? I've always said in my head, it's my first time saying it out loud. You're definitely a long-term supporter of this channel. Myself, Tim Warren, Shrum, Investing Bros, you're definitely an OG. So it's good to see you guys in here supporting the movement because this is the next best thing in crypto. All right, cash for gain, says Brandon. I agree. Also, Brandon, you shared my video out on Twitter. That's big. My video, Caspa versus Bitcoin. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it's definitely my best performing video as of today. And I think that there's a pretty big future in this versus type thing. So later on, I'm going to tell you guys about my Cardano versus HBAR versus that's coming out later this week. Just quick little spoiler there. I'm going to continue to push these guys to you because why? I could teach you guys about 2 projects in one video. So it's not like so much a complete deep dive right into HBAR or Cardano. You know, I'll give you guys a good 10-minute video on explaining both of them. And sometimes the best way to explain something is to compare it with something very similar. So Gary says, is it Wyoming where Hoskinson has his farm? Yeah, I think yes. It's either Wyoming or Colorado. Charles Hoskinson's a billionaire, so if he's not a billionaire, he's a multi-hundred millionaire, so he's way up there. I'm sure he has land in both. Is it time to buy more Plume, says Brandon. I like Plume. This pullback is not a bad time to accumulate. I'm a big advocate of getting ready for the next cycle, so I'm not really buying any more crypto. My bags are locked and loaded. If I was to buy crypto, you know, we are on pretty decent sized pullback. I don't think it's a bad time to buy some Plume. Plume, you know, if we go into a $150,000, $200,000 Bitcoin, Plume's probably still going to 3, 5, 10x from here. So there's still a lot of potential, especially if we kick it into 2026. I just watched a video with Charles Hoskinson that released a couple days ago, and they're asking him his thoughts on this bull market, and he doesn't think we're going into a bear winter. He actually thinks that we're going into 2026 and we're going to peak there. So I don't exactly completely understand what he means by there's no bear winter, but we're peaking in 2026. So maybe we just don't have a massive pullback that we have every 4 years. Smart money is moving differently this cycle. I will tell you that. Thoughts on Plume? I got a lot of Plume guys in here. Thoughts on Plume? Any info on how one of their founders passed away? Okay, gotcha. So this is something I have not talked about to you guys. Plume, about 3 weeks ago, I believe, one of their founders passed away. It was one of their founding, members. I don't know if it was a CEO. I don't know exactly his hierarchy position. The second part, why are they hiding info? Okay. I mean, this is why we're in crypto. You know, we have to be able to get to the bottom of all of this stuff. Who is lying to us? We have to be able to figure out how to do analysis on this type of stuff. All of this is pretty risky. I will not lie. I'm not going to sit here and tell you Plume is not a risky project. There's a reason that it's still sub 300 mil market cap. I hold a good amount of it. I believed in the team. I still believe in the team, and they have a lot of value locked to show for it. I don't think it's a big deal. The founder passing away, I know it sounds weird. This is crypto. It's kind of like what happens if Verizon's founder passed away, or what happened if Steve Jobs or all these other founders, they pass away, the companies move on. So it is unfortunate. There's some founders like Elon Musk, for example, if he was to pass away, then it's going to be a huge shift from the vision. I don't think there's going to be a huge shift in vision here at Plume. So P. Drizzy, this has been baked in for a while now. This is not something that just happened. The founder passed away weeks ago. But it's definitely good to stay on top of it. All right, Carl. Peace, Crux in chat. Represent. All right, well, that's enough Q&A. I see you guys definitely showing support. We got 50 viewers in here. That's a lot of people for my third live stream, so I'm going to try not to mess this one up. But we got some more info for you guys. Bullish. Bullish has arranged to receive $1.15 billion of proceeds from its recently completed initial public offering in stablecoins, which represents a historic step for the use of stablecoins in an initial public offering in the United States. Why is this big? It is because this is the first time stablecoins are being used at this big of a magnitude, right? 1.15 billion is nothing to scoff at, and it's all in stablecoin proceeds. So we're starting to see stablecoins are being used for big major companies like Bullish, for example, and this is a diversity of stablecoins. So is it USDC? Is it USDT? Is it RLUSD? Is it PayPal USD? There's a lot of different stablecoins out there, everyone. And the most important thing to note of stablecoins is, you want the diversity of it. And we know UST collapsed. That's the algorithmic stablecoin created by Terra Luna. What's the next best one? I mean, that one was never the best one, clearly. But if USDT was to collapse, what's the next best one? Then you have USDC. What's the next best one? Well, I mean, you can go back to this one and see where all the dominance is. Then you have USDE. You have USDS, etc. All the way, like barely making the top 20, you'll see RLUSD. That's the one we'll start hitting on here shortly. RLUSD, I think, is a big player in this one. Do not count Ripple out. They are big. I like XRP. Shout out XRP Army. If you're in chat, drop those X's. I'm here for you guys, and I'll continue to provide content in that direction. And this is Ripple right here congratulating them, right? So they use that RLUSD stablecoin to push that $1.15 billion payment forward. So a portion of those IPO proceeds were settled in RLUSD. So this right here is showing me that RLUSD, Ripple Labs, is already being used, and we're not even talking about a bank really. Bullish, this is more of like an exchange. Think of Kraken or think of Coinbase. Some of these other exchanges, they're starting to IPO, which is huge. All right. And then also, here's some more bullishness on Ripple. So you guys saw them in the title. I had to give a shout out to Ripple. Gemini's IPO filing reveals a $75 million credit deal with Ripple. So we know before Gemini is going to IPO, that's another exchange that's going public. You're going to be able to start using RLUSD through them. So this is pretty big. Gemini, they are a front mover. They're an exchange that's been around for a very long time. I mean, with the twins, I forgot their names. What's the names? The Winklevoss twins. There we go. I don't know why that just slipped my mind. Those guys, I'm pretty sure they're founders of Facebook. They're on top of everything. So I wouldn't bet against Gemini. If they IPO, me personally, I'm staying away from it. I'm not big on stocks in terms of like Coinbase, Robinhood. I'm not big on, not big on holding stocks in this space because I personally like to invest in visionaries and teams. Being in an exchange where you buy crypto and you sell it to others and you make fees, that's cool. It's needed in the space, but I don't feel like I'm supporting something. If I buy SUI, I'm supporting Miston Labs. If I buy Cetus, I'm over there supporting their team. So I want to support visionaries in the space, and that's why I believe in altcoins heavily. So let's go ahead and move on. This is a little shift of direction. So the banking lobby fights to change the Genius Act. Is it too late? So we know the Genius Act is the most recent form of legislation that has passed within the United States regarding cryptocurrencies. The Banking Policy Institute wants lawmakers to further fine-tune the Genius Act to prevent any possibility of interest-bearing stablecoins. So, hey guys, the banks are coming to try to take your interest away. And as advocates of crypto, we have to have a voice on this type of stuff. We do not want the banks to try to remove the interest-bearing stablecoins because at that point, the banks continue to take the lead. Will the banks continue to hold the lead? I personally believe the banks are always going to be here and they will always have the lead. But without us at least applying the pressure to where FDIC, like if and I covered this yesterday in our Q&A, they're also asking us to give a voice on what we can do to help stablecoin adoption. And me, Crux, the number one thing we can do to help with stablecoin adoption is to allow FDIC to back stablecoins. So currently, if you have your stablecoins on Robinhood, or if you have them on Coinbase, and you're staking it for their 5% APY yield or whatever, and they get rugged, you're SOL. You're never going to see any of that money again. You chased a yield, but it was unsafe, and that was your fault. So that's kind of how crypto is currently. What we want for adoption is, all right, well, if you had 250,000, or depending on however much they want to have it, then we'll give you a refund of this, to at least kind of ease the process of that whole thing. I'm sure, some people may have a lot more than what they would give you as in terms of insurance, but also in terms of regulatory clarity, that's big because we know things that get FDIC insured have been under a microscope by regulatory, people that are pushing forth the regulations. So let's go ahead and check back at the Q&A, and this is gonna be like the midterm Q&A. So I'm gonna let you guys ask some questions. We're like 22 minutes in. I've already given you guys news on Robinhood, on the Bullish IPO. Stay tuned for the end. We're gonna have Monero, guys. Monero just got hit last night by a 51% attack. I covered it last night, but there's a lot of new stuff to talk about, and I'm here to bring it to you guys. This is something that you're not seeing on YouTube or even on Twitter, and I think it's huge. So that's the reason I'm covering it. I don't want to lead you guys in the wrong direction or promote too much FUD, but I don't want this article to get pushed by Coin Telegraph or maybe these big entities, and you guys have no idea what's happening. So I want to be the first to tell you guys. You'll have to stay around till the end to get that. All right, but let's go ahead and read some of these comments. Trizzle said Chainlink 22 before the big jump. So we know a pullback's coming. I personally think the pullback came from Ethereum's all-time high. November of 2021, Ethereum got to about $4,850, $4,850 per Ethereum. This time around, we got up to about 47, a little over 4,700. So we didn't quite get to the all-time high, but that's understandable. People are going to start selling before we get there. So when we got to Bitcoin's all-time high, we knew there was a sell-off. We got to that 69K, boom. Actually, we pushed a little bit above it. We went to like 73, and then after 73, we went all the way down to 53K. That was the biggest pullback in the entire bull market. It was over 30%. Bitcoin's had only one 30% pullback this entire bull market. So it's been way easier to stomach than the last bull market, because last bull market, we had about 7 different 30% pullbacks. Some of them were in single days. In a single 24-hour period, there were 30% pullbacks last cycle. And that's where I got exposure to crypto. I first got in at the beginning of 2020. So I was in the trenches. I know the volatility. Some of you guys are probably OGs longer, but I'll tell you, this has been super simple for me to stomach this volatility because I understand it. Not everybody understands it. And I just continue to harp on it. You guys should be watching people that understand it, because now you can use that, add it to your bags, and try to get better at navigating this space with confidence. That will be a good one, says Brandon Buttery. Buttree. I might have butchered that one again. I'm going to quickly show it to you guys, and then I'll show it to you guys at the end as well. So that should be up, actually. And then here you go. So boom, ADA versus H-bar. This one comes out Friday. I'll talk a little bit about it more later, but I think you guys are going to like that one. So let's go back to the Q&A. I'm still learning these buttons. Bear with me. All right. Thoughts on ban? Okay, you guys are coming through with some very abstract plays. Opinions on USDG, banned protocol. Do you like BTCS? Well, how about this? Daniel Pearson, since you are a gem hunter, I'll break that one down for you in the gem hunters over there in Discord. Let's go ahead and jump into banned protocol. Michael S. It's been a while since I've looked into a play. So let me show you how, as an analyst, I quickly look into this type of stuff. The first thing I'm going to look as I'm going to the project is it listed on CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap? Okay, so banned, B-A-N-D, looks like it's a ticker. This might not be banned protocol, though. Very important to note. That's going to be the first thing I check. Is this the right band that this individual is talking about? It is, because I can see it in the website name. This is banned protocol. So a couple things are already pointing out to me. This is our ERC20 token. It's built on Ethereum. How many bull markets has it been in? It was launched back in 2019, so we're already in the second bull market, barely outside of its third bull market. It has not made higher highs this cycle, but all-time highs this cycle. It has made higher highs this cycle, and there is definitely some momentum here, at least from the bear market low to this current position. It's sitting at just over 100 mil market cap, so I would consider this somewhat of a gem. But let's go ahead and check quickly to see what it is, and then I'll give you my final take on it, and we'll move on. So it's a unified data layer for AI and Web3. A couple buzzwords there. Data has not done very well this bull market. Coins like Filecoin and Arweave, they did well back in 2023, going into Q4 or Q2 and 1 of 2024 last year. And then they have fallen off since quarter 3 and quarter 4 of last year, and then just never recovered Q1, Q2 of this year. So data just hasn't been the move for the most part. Now, it seems like they're a little diversified into AI, which is cool. Okay, VRF. This is something that I see with Chainlink, verifiable randomness. Okay, so the acronym's here. Randomization verifiable something. Anyways, Chainlink, I thought patented this. I guess they didn't. We're starting to see it in other companies or protocols. But think of like gaming is very important. Think of like poker, right? You want everything to have, with 100% certainty, it is random. We don't want something to have any way that it can be manipulated, because in that sense, it's not fair. So I like to see that being integrated into it. Chainlink, is integrated into everything. So I don't think this is going to get any of that market share. But for me, it's going to be a quick pass, and it's really mainly because of that data being its number one niche. Data is just not the move right now. I wouldn't have over like 5% exposure of my portfolio into data, other than possibly Walrus. So for those that don't know, I like Walrus. It's a little bit different than just like a data layer, very similar to Filecoin. So WAL is a ticker. I covered this one in my SUI season video. This one's backed by Miston Labs, who is the ones who created SUI, and it launched earlier this year. It's been pretty sideways, that's fine, that's understandable, but I like this play here. Definitely not just a data layer, it also is a scaling solution, so acts on behalf of an L2 as well, and an interoperability play. So Walrus does a lot more than just what banned protocol or what these other solutions have done. I would put my money over there in Walrus instead. All right. So I hope you guys like that. That's me quickly jumping into a play that I haven't heard about. I do this a lot. I've read hundreds of white papers at this point. White papers, I didn't bring it up this time, but that's like the best way to quickly get the vision, because it's usually in an abstract. So for example, Satoshi says peer-to-peer network. Where do I find that? It's the white paper. The white paper, it has an abstract. It has a quick breakdown of what you're about to read before you go and read maybe some 5 to 50 page document. So it gets a little bit complex in there. Sometimes it talks about tokenomics. Sometimes it talks about the team. A lot of things to vet the project. And it's very, very important to understand as an analyst how to break down a white paper. So if you know in Discord, I always have my thing that says reading white papers. It's always set to that because that's what I do as an analyst. All right. So let me go ahead and pull up the next article, and then we'll go back into Q&A after that. This is my favorite one I want to cover with you guys. It is nobody, and this is me last night, and nobody is talking about how Cubic has over 51% hash of Monero, right? So right now, if you're to look, Cubic has like 70% still. It's bad. What happens with over 50% of hash rate on any proof of work network? A lot can happen. The most dangerous thing is a double spending attack. So what does that mean? I send $50 to Brandon. Brandon gets my $50, and then I retrace it back to me. So Brandon has my $50 and I have my $50. We just duplicated money. The blockchain's broken. It's broken after that. It's like if you played video games, it's kind of like a rollback. It's like, well, kind of like a rollback. Well, a rollback would erase Brandon's holdings. In this case, the person with the most hash rate is able to continue the chain after that happened. So it can be very detrimental. Monero currently is somewhat striking back. So this guy, it says, Monero strikes back. Cubic's ability to selfishly mine Monero has been disabled for now. So what does that mean? Is Monero centralized? How can you take away somebody's ability to mine a cryptocurrency, especially proof of stake cryptocurrency? To me, that seems very centralized if they're able to stop a group from doing so. So me, as an analyst, I always try to find the best people in the space. Shout out Retro Mike Tech, big fan of his. He's part of the Givers Gain community. So if you haven't heard of Givers Gain, we're a group of crypto advocates led by some very smart people. And it's bigger than crypto over there. It's about family, it's about faith, and these types of things. So hashtag Givers Gain. Check it out on Twitter. Check it out on Twitter whenever you have time. But Retro Mike Tech, he's one of the guys over there. They are over incentivizing. This is basically him breaking it down, what's happening at Cubic. So they are over incentivizing miners. Basically, they are touting 3x profits if you mine through them instead of XMR directly. But what are they doing? But what they're doing is paying out in Cubic, selling the XMR, buying back the Cubic, and then burning it, using other chains to inflate their own price. Is this big for crypto? I think this is a huge moment in crypto. I'm not going to try to overinflate it, though. The reason I think it's a big moment is we're starting to see proof of work networks have a vulnerability. If somebody is saying, all right, I'm going to run a mining node over here. I'm going to allow everybody to get 3 times the profits that they mine through my pool. And this is going to incentivize people to continue to grow the hash rate until you have 51%. And then you're able to do whatever you want with the chain. So very crazy what's going on, in my opinion. XMR, I don't have an update on the current state of it. I know Kraken froze it last night. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I don't want to FUD it. I don't want to tell anybody this ecosystem's going to collapse or whatever. I just want to be the first person to tell you guys that proof of work networks are going to be in the news here shortly. And I don't want you guys to FUD out of it and sell all your bags. All right. And then going further down the story, Cubic, they went through their Discord and then they went ahead and said, what's going to be the next move? We've gotten 51% of Monero. We've proven that we can do whatever we want over here, which I think right now they're doing something in terms of I forgot exactly. Not like a hostage or a ransom, but they're definitely doing something to manipulate Monero. Now, the next poll was, should we attack a different chain? And they said yes, and it's going to be Dogecoin. So don't go sell all your Doge. Let me break it down for you. So Dogecoin is going to be the next one. It's going to take them a couple months to get together and look to, quote unquote, attack the chain. Or I'm not going to call it attack, and I'll break it down here in a sec on who the founder or who the person leading all of this is. But then Retro Mike Tech comes through. I'm aware they originally considering doing Zcash, but held a vote and settled with Doge. They said it will be months away, so they're not going to go after Doge anytime soon. They need to develop a solution. This is their end goal. They basically want to force all mining through them, which is crazy. It's like they're holding proof of work networks hostage. And this is any proof of work network. This could be Bitcoin. This could be Caspa, you know? So again, I'm not going to FUD it. I'm just want to explain to you guys how this works and why this is a very big deal. And I need to see more people cover it because people are just kind of letting this thing flow by. But this is the guy who's kind of the ringleader of it all. Come from behind. Go follow him on X to get the latest results. But he is using AI as the scapegoat. A lot of electricity is burned for useless proof of work. We need that electricity for AI. So what better way to force people to mine proof of work through your consensus and then blame it on AI? If anything, you're making more people mine through blockchain activity. So that's a horrible scapegoat. I don't know what this guy's thinking. This is his feed on Twitter. And again, you can go and keep up with what's going on, when are they going to go attack Doge. Check this out. August 18th, which was yesterday, I've got a spare 50,000 USDT. What's the best exchange to long XMR? So this guy, he has control of the chain, and he's sitting here longing 100x XMR. So if you're a trader out there, I'll be following this guy. Whatever he's saying, I'll be taking those trades because he clearly is in the know. But not financial advice. If you lose it all, don't come running to Crux saying I misled you. I'm just telling you, this guy 100x'd yesterday and made a ton of money. So, all right, let's go back to Q&A for a second. All right. Just stopping by, TradeFly. What up, TradeFly? Just stopping by to show some love. Hope all is well, brother. Yeah, definitely, man. Everybody that's in here, check out TradeFly. I'm actually making him a moderator right now. And then also, how do we do this? Add as moderator. Boom. Cool. All right, TradeFly, you're definitely a moderator. He's an OG in the space. He's been around creating content way before me. So he's definitely a guy that you want to go check out. He understands the charts way better than I do. So if you want to know some good TA in the space, TradeFly is your guy. I like Wall too, says Brandon. Yeah, Walrus is real nice. Drizzy. Good stuff, bro. What's your name on Discord? There's a lot in there messaging. All right. Yeah, quick disclaimer. There's a lot of cruxes everywhere. I'm not going to say like I'm a stud or anything. I'm not speaking out of like arrogance, but I'm saying whenever you join that Investing Bros, Tim Warren, whatever you want to call it, Discord, you're going to get spammed by a lot of Tim Warrens, Shrums, maybe even Smay, cruxes for sure. You know, this is not us. So we typically don't DM you. This is just a thing to add to your notebook. Security measure. We do not DM you. If it sounds too good to be true, then it is. So Drizzy, in the hashtag general chat, go ahead and just tag @Crux, and that would be me. And then I'll go ahead and answer your question over there. All right, Jim says, are you bullish on H-bar? Well, and going back to this, and then I'll show you guys the thumbnail real quick. If you missed it, ADA versus H-bar, this drops Friday. I am bullish on both of these projects. So you guys are going to have to tune in. There we go. You guys are going to have to tune in to figure out which one is better. And I'm going to do my best to compare them against like apples and apples and not apples and oranges. They're two different blockchains. Cardano is more of the rigorously academic blockchain. Think of Apple. Think of like if Ethereum was Android just breaks stuff. They're the first mover in everything. They're the ones who try weird stuff like the Z Flip phone. Like they're the true innovators in the space. Apple just takes forever to release stuff, but it's usually way more secure. So there's no right or wrong. Now, yeah, I'm not going to spoil it. This one's going to be a good watch. I definitely hope you guys tune in to that one. And then let's go ahead and read a couple more Q&As, and then we'll jump back into the topics of conversation. Appreciate you. Yeah, I see you, TradeFly. Also, I need to go ahead and jump on your live stream. I'm not going to be hosting anything on this channel because this is my third live stream. I have no idea what I'm doing. As you could see, I'm like over here pushing all these random buttons. But I can definitely start jumping on other live streams too to get my voice out there to help you grow as well. So that's definitely an option out there. Love you, TradeFly. All right. Monero is proof of work. Wake up. I just said that. When did I say it was proof of stake or any other? Monero is proof of work. Wake up. Yeah, I don't know exactly what you mean by that, but anyways. All right. Carl says, good morning and huge shout out to Crux and the team for all the effort you put into this, videos and information provided. Thank you. You know, we're here multiple days of the week. Tuesday, Thursday are my live streams at 4 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday, which is my base ecosystem video that I'll be dropping here tomorrow. Look at that. Crux is just dropping it for you. Look, top base picks. We got Zora, Mamo, we got Aerodrome A, and we got Kita up there. You can see it in the background. I'm going to give a shout out to all my favorite base ecosystem plays. That's coming to you guys tomorrow. So definitely stay tuned on that one. And without further ado, do I have any other, well, okay, so I don't have any other news to really bring to you guys, but I'll definitely stay here for the Q&A and answer some questions. So right here is 40 minutes after the start of the hour, and you guys have me for another 20 minutes. That's a long time to answer questions. I just gave a ton of news to you guys, so just to quickly update you on what I just talked about, and then going into the Q&A. Robinhood just listed SUI. This is very bullish. SUI is my favorite risk to reward asymmetric play this entire bull market. If I can hold one play in crypto, risk to reward wise, it is SUI. So it's sitting like close to like 10 bill market cap, maybe a little bit higher. So it didn't have the huge pickup yet of Solana or XRP, but it has the user activity. So I love me some SUI. We talked about Hines. Hines just joined USDT. Crux doesn't know what he's doing. What are you doing, Hines? Join Circle, join Ripple, figure it out. Made in America, that's what we're pushing around here. Even Bitcoin. All right, I'm about to get fired up on this one. Bitcoin, is it made in America? No, it's not. That is my number one reason I think United States should not be focused heavily on Bitcoin. I think we need to focus on the American-made cryptos, the ISO 2022 compliant cryptos, HBAR, you know, Cardano, Solana. I can go down the list. The reason I think America should focus on American-made cryptos is we are losing the race against Bitcoin. China has reported 180,000 Bitcoin. We have less than 100,000 if you include the is it Bybit? No, not the Bybit, but the BitMEX, the one with Arthur Hayes. If you include that exchange, those restitutions of 120,000 Bitcoin are going back to them. So right now, America is behind China by at least 2.5x. So for every dollar we put into Bitcoin, we give China's hold treasury 2.5 times ours. So that's my breakdown. That's Crux's breakdown. I don't care if you agree with it. This is my analysis, and it is what it is. So I love you all, but I give some pretty controversial takes, and that's what you're tuning in for. Venice versus Virtual. So Virtuals is definitely going to be the best AI agent play, and it's not even close. Virtual's protocol, for those that don't have exposure to AI agents, I think that's your best pick. It's by far your safest. For those that don't know, AI agents are basically the integration of how do I make ChatGPT or just AI prompting become part of my daily life. So how does it become my assistant? If you're in the military, or if you're in like a position where you have somebody working under you and helping you with your things, shout out TradeFly again, you know, that's the type of stuff that helps your daily life become easier and easier. So if you give it the permission to understand who you're talking to, what you're talking about, I could be talking to TradeFly and saying, hey, you know, maybe we should set up like a big meeting for the Bitcoin conference and have a, you know, maybe 15 reservations at this restaurant. The AI agent is listening and it's already setting it up on my behalf. And all I got to do is push the button to set that reservation. And that's just a small little detail on how these things can help you. Check out my base ecosystem video, drops tomorrow. I talk about Mamo. So Mamo is a base ecosystem AI agent. And I talked about my last live stream too, that I can just add my wallet to it, send it, and it gives me 10% APY yield plus on, or 10% plus APY yield on my USDC, right? And is it sketchy? I explained it in the video why I don't think it's sketchy. It has the liquidity, the same liquidity that Coinbase does. So what is there to worry about? We'll see. Also, very important to note, as we get closer to a bear market, the risk goes up on all this stuff. We know that as people make money, it's way less risky to be involved in Celsius, to be less risky to be involved in Terra Luna, and all these other ecosystems. So the closer we get to that bull market peak, the more risky crypto gets, but the more volatile it gets too. So as people start flooding in, you're going to see a lot of newbies asking questions. Try to help them out. They don't want to be sent into the doldrums of crypto by getting exposure to Bitcoin at $122,000, and then it retraces down to $77,000. So let's try to prevent these guys from getting smoked. You know, share out channels like mine. I try to do my best to keep people in the know. And something important to note for me, I'm not really buying much crypto anymore. You know, the dips are the dips. I'm done buying the dips. I think if we go into another bear market, you get rich in bear markets, you make wealth in bull markets. So I can make a little bit more money if I continue buying these dips. I can make a 2, 3, maybe a 5x on some of these plays. But we've gone from 15.5 all the way to $122,000 in 2.5 years. That is a lot of money in a very short amount of time. So can we go from 122 to 150? Of course we can. But then we can also retrace back down to 55,000. So in my opinion, we're much closer to the top than the bottom. So Crux, I am accumulating stablecoins and I'm waiting. Now I do every now and then go and nibble on some gems. You guys know I am a gem hunter. So I'll jump into those low cap plays, try to flip some money, sell it. What I preach is once you get a 2x on that gem, sell the initial, let the rest run, and then trust your gut on when to take profits on that. And we've done fairly well over there on the gem hunters. We have about 15 different plays. The average ROI currently sitting at, I think, like 67,000 or 67%. And it's only like 2 months old. So being able to make 67% ROI across 15 different plays, I mean, one of them's up like 400 some percent. And then another one's down like 20%. So it balances itself out, but 67% on average across 15 plays is not bad. All right, let's read a couple more of these. I've been on a little tangent. Anytime, bro, shoot me a DM, says Tradefly. Bet. All right, Crux kills it. Hey, what up, JR Block? Shout out JR. You're one of my biggest supporters, if not my biggest supporter. So I love you, bro. Thanks for helping out and supporting the movement. He's over here with Tim, Shrum, you know, Smay, and all of us just working around in the background, making crypto a better place for you guys. Ondo has more upside than SUI. That's a bold take, Michael. I think you'll be eating those words, Michael, but we'll see. Let's go ahead and quickly open those charts, and let me show you why I think SUI has better upside potential than, let's go this one. Why I think SUI has better upside potential. Not only is Ondo, in my opinion, so you could be a thriving ecosystem, but you have to play nice with others. And I know that's a bold take, but Ondo chain, to me, was the wrong move. I wanted Ondo to stick with how interoperable it was. You can get Ondo on Avalanche. You can get it on Solana. You can get it on all these blockchains. Now they're making their own blockchain. I need to see liquidity continue flowing to these other ones, because if it doesn't, they're going to be having a rough time getting bottlenecked. So that's one thing about Ondo. I love Ondo. I love Ondo markets. They're moving into stocks. I want to see Ondo remain interoperable, just like Pump.Fun. When Pump.Fun launches their own layer 1, or when they started to rival, you know, Radium and all these other launch pads, they shot themselves in the foot. Whenever they should have just focused on what they were doing, they were the hot chain. They're actually back to being the hot chain. Like Pump.Fun has woken up. I think they've resurpassed Let's Bonk, if I'm not mistaken. But with SUI, you have, so the number one project that people compare SUI to is Solana, right? Solana is an over 100 billion market cap. This is sitting at 12. Very solid project. Look at this recovery. Coming down almost to like 8 bill or so, hitting that close to a 2x, so maybe like a 80% return in a matter of months. We're very close to not only the all-time high, the recent high, So expect to probably reject around 15 bill market cap or whatever. I'm not a TA guy. I'm just looking at the chart. I'm breaking it down how I see like certain trends happening. But when there's price action, especially an all-time high or a cycle high opportunity that you're going up against, usually you reject. And depending how much liquidity is there, it depends on how hard you reject. So just like we saw, Ethereum got up to about 4,700. The all-time high of Ethereum was 4,850. So as we get closer to that 4,850, there's more and more. It's like a wall, but the more times you run up against it, eventually you break through it. And then usually when you break through, you come down, retest it, set a new all-time high, and you are clear. You're off to the races. That's what I think Ethereum's going to do here in the next, hopefully, week, but it could be much longer. Also, whenever we talk about bull markets, people talk about Q4 the year after the halving being the peak, which I think that the peak does come Q4 this year, but I'm not very certain. So don't take my words as gold. With about 60% probability, I say Q4 this year will be the peak. So there's definitely a good 40% opportunity we go into 2026 for a peak, or we're just up and right forever. Momentum is the key word. How do we get to Q4? If we continue doing these stair steps, I will love it. It means crypto is, the 4-year cycle is probably broken if we stop being so volatile. If you look at any peak that we got to, Q2 2021, Q4 2021, any peak was definitely initiated by a massive run up and then a huge spike to the downside. And that's what we don't want. We don't want the huge volatility. We don't want the 70% pullbacks. So things to consider there. Now let's go ahead and wrap this up with a couple more questions from you guys. JR Block, Ada Gang, shout out Ada Gang. Algo, XRP, Ondo, Ada, says Michael. I'll put those in order. So he said Algo, XRP, Ondo, Ada. In terms of ROI or just risk to reward, I'm going Ondo first. Well, Ada first. Okay, time out. I'm doing leverage positions on these because I'm a degen, so I'm just going to do it like that. Instead of Ada, I'm going SNEC. So SNEC is the #1 meme on Ada. Anytime Ada pumps, this one destroys it. Then you can go back and check me on that. Ondo would be second. I mean, Flare moves pretty similar to XRP, so it's kind of like a leveraged, but then HBAR does too. So if you look at when Gary Gensler he resigned in like Q3 of last year, November of last year, so it's Q4. When Gary Gensler resigned, Algorand, HBAR, and all the other ISO 2022 like XLM, they all pumped together. HBAR did a 9x. XRP did like a 6x. Algorand did like a 4x. So ISO 2022 compliant cryptos, they pumped together. So if I wanted to leverage position of XRP, I would just grab Hedera, because if XRP makes a big move, Hedera is going to make a big move. And then Algorand's going to be by far, I'm not a big hater of Algorand. I made a video on it. You can go check it out. They actually have a play I like. It's called Proppy. So it's like a real world asset play. Think of like Airbnb, the Web3 version of Airbnb, where you can have partial ownership of a property and make passive yield on it. So it's kind of like the whole tokenization of real world assets. It's built over there on Algorand, and I like it. So that's really the only play I like on Algorand. I'm not a big fan of that chain. They were pushing super hard the ESG. Like, we're the first net zero carbon neutral, blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't care. I really don't, being honest. Okay. Mamo versus virtuals. Daniel, so technically, Mamo and virtuals has a partnership. I don't think Mamo was created through virtual, but I know that there's definitely a partnership there. You could do something with the virtual token in that ecosystem. Mamo's going to be way higher risk because Mamo's sitting. Okay, so let's check out Mamo real quick. We started talking about Mamo around a sub 40 mil market cap. Excuse me. It's getting close to about 60. So definitely a pretty good little gain there. This is a solid looking chart, everyone. Check out tomorrow's video. I will break it down for you guys. This is what it looks like. There, Mamo. And I break this one down for you. This one, it's just a cool passive yield play. As we get closer to a bear market, there's going to be people that are like taking profits on their USDC. Where do I put this? Well, all you got to do is give this thing your wallet address and send it your USDC. And then guess what? Or you could do your CBBTC. So if you wanted to just hold Bitcoin, swap it 1-to-1 for for Coinbase Bitcoin, you can get 7% APY on your Bitcoin. So I don't want to stand in front of this, but you get some very competitive yields over here. Virtuals is way less risky. Virtuals protocol. I like virtuals in terms of AI play. I think it's the best risk to reward. I think followed by Tau and then followed by Render. So, and it's also risk wise, it's in reverse order. So Render is going to be the safest. Tau probably second safest, and then virtuals is going to be by far the riskiest. But this is kind of like just your launch pad for AI agents. It's pretty fun. If you come over here and check it out, let's check to see if Mamo real quick is built on it. So what I would do, so they have different types of bots. You have Genesis, Sentient, and then Prototype. Prototype is going to be before they quote unquote like IPO, or before they get access to the public, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, Genesis is. Okay, my bad. So this is like your crowdfunding on the bots. Sentient are going to be your big bots, if I'm not mistaken. Then Prototype. Yeah, right. Okay. So Prototype's going to be like your, I'm almost there, but I'm not fully there. Sentient would be where Mamo is, or where AIXBT is, or these other plays would be. I might be butchering this, by the way. All right, no. So Game is a pretty big one. Luna is a big one. Yeah, there's Mamo. So look, I was wrong. Mamo is built through virtuals. I knew there's some sort of partnership there. I like this play. It's one of the biggest virtuals protocol plays, but it's clearly the safest, and it just surpassed AIXBT. Look at that. I like AIXBT. Go follow it on Twitter. It's a cool little bot that can keep you up to date on all the hottest news in crypto. Okay, last question, and then I'm gonna wrap this up. Where have you been, man? Why so late in the cycle, KS? Dang, right. So check out my video. It's pinned in my channel on how I turned 130K into 1.3 million in 6 months. And I explain this. I started creating content in the bear market. My very first live stream, I was with Army Piper. I was with T-Shroom, Tim Warren, and then Digital Asset News. So it was like straight to the, like I was being fed to the wolves. You know, like this is you being in front of a lot of people. I didn't have a platform, but the reason I started live streaming and creating content was because I thought I had a voice of reason. I've been through a lot in this space, and I think you guys can definitely take advantage of that. So now I spread it to you guys. And your question is why so late for live streaming? Because there's a process, and you know, working my way all the way up to this point was not easy. I started Gem Watchlist last year. I've worked my way up that way. I used to do newsletters. I did this, that, and the third. I did everything from creating Discord servers to, there's a ton of stuff that you can do to help out the crypto communities. And eventually I worked my way into a position where people like Tradefly, Army Piper, Tim Warren, Shrum, they're all like, you got a voice. You're probably going to be pretty good at live streaming. You should think about making content. And I got out here and I started doing it. So I'm sorry for not being here the whole cycle with you guys. We are in kind of like inning 8 to 9. We're in like the last part of the bull market, but this is the most important part of the bull market that you guys can use my advice. Not advice, but my recommendations. I don't provide financial advice. This is just me speaking from experience and opportunity. It ain't buying time, it's selling time the next 4 months. I agree, KS. I'm not going to be buying anything. I am already thinking about the bear market lows. And I got my stuff stashed aside. And I might start using Mamo pretty soon. Just start throwing some of my USDC in Mamo. Let that ride out through the bear market. 10% APY is nothing to scoff at. Caspa is a new Bitcoin. All right, Thomas. Speak your talk. Speak your talk. Hey, I love Caspa. It's my favorite project. Of all the plays in crypto, Caspa is my favorite. I talked about SUI being the best risk to reward. Caspa, I think, is just taking Bitcoin's Like, it's taken its blueprint and it's just redoing it. It took Bitcoin forever to get adopted. So I think Caspa is going to be very in a similar boat. This might not be the bull market for Caspa, and that's okay. I'm just going to continue to make content because I believe in it. I think this is the bee's knees. I do a ton of research of this. All the communities in crypto, the two smartest communities I've ever done research on are Cardano and Caspa. These guys, if you talk to people in their communities, they understand the space better than anybody else, just per person. So I'm not going to say you can just talk to an average Caspa guy. He's going to be smarter than a Bitcoiner. But if you look at the communities, and again, I aggregate data all over Twitter on these communities, Caspa and ADA are the smartest communities out there. Hold XAU through 26. Definitely not signing off on that one. Hold your crypto in the cold wallet. Trust nobody. I agree with that. I agree. Michael says, I don't trust cold wallets. Better off with exchanges that use Firebook blocks. Okay, Michael. I agree. So cold wallets should be most of your crypto. Exchanges is a fine way to diversify your crypto holdings. So earlier I talked about Robinhood and SUI. At any moment, if Robinhood goes down, they don't owe you a dime. So that's very important to note. There's no FDIC insurance on crypto. You are SOL. You're not getting your crypto back. But there's a little bit of safety netting in that as well, to where if somebody gets a hold of your cold wallet, you're not SOL. So I always tell people, diversify your crypto, put some in a cold wallet, keep some on an exchange. I don't know, just diversify it. The best place is definitely that hardware wallet, such as a Ledger or Tangent, or that's where you want to hold most of your crypto. All right. I love your content. Keep moving. All right, Alpha Geek. Yeah, appreciate it. Definitely. If you're new here, check this out. See that little thing up there? So smash that like and hit subscribe. Follow me on X and join Discord. Boom, 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 boom. So this is my third live stream. I'm new to this. Well, not really new to the space. I have like one of the fastest growing crypto YouTube channels. And I'm just going to keep going. 2 static videos a week, 2 live streams, a lot of shorts every week. I'm trying to give you guys what you want, what I think you want. And the more feedback that you give me, the more confident I can be and the better data I can give you guys. I just recently saw you on Caspa. Yeah. So my Caspa video versus Bitcoin, that thing, I think got like 2,000 views in under 24 hours. So an awesome video out there. I've got a ton of feedback on it. Caspa's community has flooded onto my X, which is cool. I like to have that. Just keep in mind, a lot of times I post, I'm not going to post about Caspa, and that should be okay. I'm not going to sit here and follow any one community, but I will give my honest takes on all of them, as I do try to do what I can unbiasedly. And I think that's very important for the space. I don't want to be seen as a cult leader. I don't want to become the face of Caspa or any of these other platforms. There's other people out there. Caspa Silver, he knows more than I do. If you just want Caspa, go listen to him. But there's going to be a take that I'm going to give you that none of these other guys probably are going to give you. And it's how to compare Caspa with Cardano, with Bitcoin, with these other plays, because I understand each of them. And I feel like that's what may separate me from the rest. Can you do a video on how to put money into Momo? That's a pretty good video. Personally, I have zero... I don't have any money in Momo, but it seems super simple. Again, it's as simple as creating a wallet, setting them your crypto, and then at that point, that AI agent does everything on your behalf. And then you'll also start to understand who is behind it all. That's the biggest thing in crypto. Who is the team? Where's the liquidity going? My USDC I just sent you, what are you doing with it? And I answer all those questions in my video that drops tomorrow. Luke Youngblood, this is the guy that's behind the staking mechanisms of Tezos, of Cosmos, of Ethereum, and many other platforms on Coinbase. He developed, actually no, most of those on Coinbase, so like Ethereum, etc. He designed, if I'm not mistaken, or he may be like a co-founder of Tezos, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, he has a extensive history in blockchain. He understands how it works. And he's very tied in with Jesse Pollock, who is the creator of Base, and then Brian Armstrong, who's the creator of Coinbase. What happens when a cold wallet goes out of business? Nothing. Nothing happens. Now, sometimes for those cold wallets, you'll need customer support. So you might not get access to the customer support. Also, a lot of times blockchains, they'll need updates to specific things. So if a blockchain updates it, the hardware wallet's going to have to update their firmware to reflect that. So, okay. So I'll take my words back on this. If a hardware wallet goes out of business, swap it to something else that's still in business. So if Tangent goes out of business, swap it to Ledger. If Ledger goes out of business, swap it to whatever. Because there's going to be continuous updates on the blockchain, and the firmware is going to have to reflect it from the hardware wallet. So I hope that's not a little too complex for you. Just know, if you go out of business, ask Crux, and then I'll try to lead you in the right direction. Jim says, I'll be watching your HBAR ADA video. I hold both. I hold both. Cool. Yeah, we both hold both. You're doing an awesome job at this live stream thing. Thank you, Cat. Cat in the Hat, another OG in the house. Shout out. Caspa community. Oh, okay. This guy just said Caspa community is toxic, and I'm not going to give you too much of my time because that's a bold take, and I appreciate you being here, honestly. Everybody has the freedom to think how they want to think. I recommend, KS, to go and watch my Caspa versus Bitcoin video and then comment, and then I'm going to get back to you. But here on Crux of Crypto, I want to give everybody a fair shot at proving their point. And I want to know where you're coming from whenever you say Caspa is toxic. Is it the community members? Because I could definitely understand, Caspa has a strong cult, right? There's a lot of people that might be a little bit tough to take or tough to listen to. Don't let that fade you, right? Bitcoin, I call it out. Bitcoin has lead developers, core developers over there that are trashing Caspa right now, 1,000 times smaller. So we got the time of day to go up against these guys. I'm a Caspa OG. Okay. So I don't know if this guy's playing with me, KS, but go ahead and leave your comments down there from April 22nd. Yeah, that's not very OG. Oh, 2022. Yeah, you were an OG. I mean, Caspa's 3 years old, guys. It is a very new blockchain. It's been around for a very long time. I explained in that video. Check it out after this. And without further ado, let me go ahead and share out this quick little shout out to my brother, Tim Warren. All right, Tim Warren just dropped this video. Massive Chainlink price prediction 2026 update. Don't miss this. This is another video from our community. So those that don't know, I work hand in hand with Tim. He's been crushing it. Chainlink, he's been very bullish on Chainlink. I'm bullish on Chainlink. We're bullish on Chainlink. Check out this 2026 price prediction. Keep in mind, it is 2026. So we have over a year that this thing could take effect. I'm excited. I haven't watched it yet to see what this is. But you can go over to his channels, just TIM Warren here. Most of you guys probably know who he is. I'm a much smaller channel than him, but we work hand in hand. That's my brother over there. So check it out after this. And thank you guys for all the questions. I'll be here on Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard. Check out my base ecosystem video tomorrow, and then my ADA versus HBAR video that drops Friday. And then give me new video ideas that I'll drop Wednesday and Friday of next week. So without further ado, Crux out.